Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S back with another video, and today I wish to cover, or tonight I suppose you could say, I wish to cover, but basically for the whole day, my admittedly rather mad dreams for mixed race people, as I jokingly call us mutts or mongrels or stuff, all those sorts of controversial terms. I hope somehow no one gets offended out there. I think it's because it's my own group, my own people, so to speak. I feel I can say those sorts of things, whereas if it was another community, like if it was a racial slur against Jewish people or black people or any other group, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying it. Whereas it's because it's my own people, I sort of feel comfortable saying it. But anyway, yeah, so as I jokingly call us mutts, i.e. mixed race people. But yeah, here's some of my mad dreams for such a community. And I can't really think of anything else I want to say in the intro before I go on. But before I go on to points number 1 to 10, part 1, as I normally do, I just wanted to say none of these are to be enforced. I think that was the only thing I was going to say. Talking about mad dreams and all that, but none of these are to be enforced. These are just my own personal dreams and goals, ideas and whatnot. Dreams, ideas, thoughts, goals, and whatever you want to call them. And mainly dreams, really, the dream version. But yeah, so none of them are to be enforced. They're all to be. As a libertarian, I don't like to force anyone to do anything they don't want to do, but these are the things I dream we will stand for, represent, do, work on, or whatever else. So yeah, I dream that these things would sort of happen. So here goes. So number 1, I dream that we will be pacifists and conscientious objectors, so we wouldn't join militaries anywhere in the world. Number 2, also gangs. I wouldn't want us to join gangs either. Number 3, or anything that takes away people's freedom. I wouldn't want us to join terrorism or anything that takes away people's freedom, liberty, libertarianism, and that kind of thing. Anything that goes against those sort of things. As I said in the intro, like I want it to be free choice. So I want to support libertarianism. I would love to stand for libertarianism and giving people as many freedoms as possible. Like me personally, I was thinking recently, part jokingly saying, I wish there were no rules or no laws, but in a way, that was just a joke kind of, but I suppose we need rules and laws in a society of so many people. But my view is that we should only have one rule, or especially one law, because rules can be broken, I suppose. But I mean, spoken laws, but I never like to break laws, which is something I hope to come to again in this video. Hope to come to. But I think I think there should be one law other than unwritten rules or whatever, and that should be, in my opinion, you can do whatever you want as long as you don't violate other people's free choice. So let's say blokes can't just touch any woman they like. Women and other people need freedom, if you know what I mean, if that makes some sort of sense. But so yeah, not violating other people's freedoms. There's something else I would say in this video, but I want to keep it family friendly. But I talked before about what I would do if I was free, and I'd love for my fellow mutts to be able to do that. I wish God would give us the freedom to do that. But anyway, you can probably tell what it is. But as I say, not wanting to. So as I say, keeping this family friendly, you could probably guess what that sort of thing would be. Anyway, moving on. I thought of that because point number 3. Number 4, again, there's something, if I could, I would include it in this, but I'm not going to. But again, not joining militaries, gangs, terrorism, or anything that involves violence, or law breaking, forcing people to do things they don't want to do, whether they're only using violence either in self-defense or if I take things literally, in defense of the vulnerable. So I think, and even then, I think we should be very careful nowadays if you try and break up fights and all that kind of thing. So I suppose if mixed race people if mutts learn martial arts and or went to the gym or go to gym, even train together, and things like that, I think it'd be cool to be in a position where if you had to defend yourself or defend someone who's weaker, you possibly could be in that position. But I think you should use your own discretion. Again, none of these things are to be enforced, but I'd certainly encourage people as well not to break up fights unless you're in a position where you feel safe to do so, because sometimes they turn back on you. I was at work once when I actually had a job so many years ago. I'm not going to say how long it was since I've worked, to be honest with you, but when I actually had a job in a warehouse, there was a couple of Asian guys who were about to fight, and I broke it up, and the boss asked me what happened. The boss asked me what happened the next day, and I told him there was a fight. And he said, "What did you do?" I said, "I broke it up." And he said, "What if they turned on you?" So I just shrugged my shoulders. He said, "You got to think about it. Think about it next time." Or words to that effect. Bear in mind, I'm remembering something from about 20 years ago, but I did say I wasn't going to say. But anyway, so basically, not to use violence unless in self-defense, or if I take it literally, people will probably include this in self-defense, but defense of the vulnerable, defending yourself or defending the vulnerable, which I think is a different thing, because obviously self-defense is yourself. But yeah, trying to only use violence as a last resort. And something I almost forgot to say is I would love for us to work with pacifists and conscientious objector groups and bring a network together of people who can lobby for like things like ending forced conscription all over the world, work with peace groups in Israel, possibly even Russia, America, the UK, all over Europe, Africa, Asia, and all around the world, basically, anywhere we can, to sort of say we want to lobby for the right to refuse to join militaries, bear arms, or things like that, and end forced conscription in places like Israel, Korea. I've often mentioned, if you see my other videos, that I want to be as neutral as possible, but I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to join the military, obviously, if they want to do that, but I think that should be done through choice, and no one should be forced to do that. People in Israel and North Korea, South Korea, and places like that are actually put in prison if they don't join the military, and I want us to lobby so that practice is ended worldwide, so no one can force anyone to join the military, only those who want to join. The voluntary, all militaries would be voluntary, not literally voluntary, of course, because you get paid for it, but there'd be no forced conscription. Hopefully, if we can lobby with other pacifists, conscientious objectors, and all that. Again, none of these are to be enforced, but these are sort of things I hope for mixed race people to stand for. I think that covers everything for point number 4. Number 5, I'd love for us to support each other's projects, ambitions, goals, and things like that. I was doing quite well keeping this down to a short amount of time, but I think I over-explained that point. But I'd love for us to stand for that sort of thing, and animal rights, human rights, helping vulnerable people, and things like that. Again, I'll probably cover that in more detail as I go along. Number 6, I would love for my fellow Eurasians to support Italian football, Eurasians to support Italian football, and just have like a friendly sort of rivalry between each other. A bit of banter, but hopefully keep it friendly. I hope we'll still be as united as possible, but just for the football, like other Mutts, like mixed race people, whatever you call them, us, like Blasians, part black and part Asian, for those who don't know, Afropeans, those who are part African and European, or part African and European descent, or any other mixed race group other than Eurasians. I would love to support Brazil because it's quite diverse, so we could have like a sort of friendly rivalry. I think it'd be quite fitting, like I think Blasians with Brazil, I was talking about alliterations and things like that, and I think that'd be quite fitting. I mentioned in the description, a little bit off topic, but I would love for, when it comes to migration, I suppose it kind of is, like without migration we wouldn't be who we are, so it's kind of on topic in a way, but Italy and African countries are hosting a summit. It's the Italian president, I think, or prime minister even, is going to, I get those two mixed up, but is going to, the leader of Italy, basically, to put it simply, is going to parts of Africa, like Kenya and possibly South Africa and elsewhere, to talk about immigration and energy and different things like that. And I thought of a deal that Italy could have with African countries, whereby they say any migrants that come in to the country, those who are good at football could come into the country, but at the same time, Italy could perhaps help African countries and provide them with access to training in S.T.E.M, P.C.s, laptops, and things like that, help them to fundraise, and Africans could help Italian football to improve so they could practice together. So Italians who are good at tech could teach Africans about tech, and Africans could help Italians to practice in football, and they could have that partnership. I suppose it's kind of a selfish dream of mine, but to benefit Italian football, but also there's hopefully a lot of good will come from it. I think that a brain drain could be stopped if, again, I mentioned this, I think, in the description of this video, I think a brain drain could be stopped if Africans had more access to PCs, laptops, training in ICT and S.T.E.M and things like that, because that would mean they'd be less likely to want to migrate, because they will have more training, so they have more opportunities for careers and things like that. So I think that would be an interesting deal, but I'd love to know what people think about. Am I being naive or whatnot? Because I suppose because I support Italian football and I want to see African countries do well economically, financially, economically, and that kind of thing. I often joke about that being mixed up because I'm an anti-imperialist, but I still support Italian football as I supported them when I was younger because I think I look Italian. Hence why I'd love for Eurasians to, many of whom may also look Italian, perhaps, if I do. I could be mistaken anyway, but if Eurasians do look Italian, which I think we probably do, it would be cool if we support the Italian football. But yeah, so hopefully Italian football will benefit and also African countries will benefit in terms of tech and their economies, training, and things like education, employment, obviously, and that kind of thing. But the ones who are good at football, I hope will still be able to have a safe access, actually, come to think of it, to Italy so that they can avoid the perilous journey across the Mediterranean. And yeah, so that could be a deal that Italians make with Africans to make sure that all migration is done legally as much as possible. Obviously, you can't always prevent crime much as we might want to. I suppose it would be boring if the world was always peaceful and there was no crime. But again, I'd love to know what you think about my thoughts that I share here, of course. Probably don't share all, I probably shouldn't share all my thoughts. But yeah, so I suppose that is on topic in a way towards mixed race people because also the mixed race people who are in Italy, hopefully we can improve relations with Italians. So I know Italy can be quite racist, or very racist. So hopefully through football they can bring people together. But I can go into that in more detail. And another time, I think this video has gone long enough. I had a few other things I want to say about like how mixed race people could be involved with football as well as Africans and other people from around the world. Migration, I suppose, does kind of correlate, as I say, with mixed race people with Mutts because without immigration, without people traveling from one country to another, we'd all be monoracial, I suppose, and we wouldn't be the way we are. Number 7, I would love for all mixed race people and even people of colour generally, POC, to support Celtic. Number 8, I would love for God to love us if I'm talking about my dreams. And I love for us to be loved people. I hope that by calling a truce on the world, like not joining militaries, gangs, terrorism, or anything with violence. I know it's a bit controversial with the military thing, and many people are passionate about the military, and I suppose equating the military with gangs and terrorism is very controversial even, and so you're going to be hated by some people, far right people or whatever are going to hate us, or whatever other group, whatever extremist groups who don't like mixed race people for whatever reason or hate on us. But hopefully overall, most people will think like we're peaceful, law-abiding, loving people and that kind of thing, and will be a bridge between different cultures, traditions and whatnot, even though I'm not hugely into culture or tradition myself. But hopefully we'll bring people together, basically be a bridge between different nationalities, races and whatnot. Again, with the deal with Italy and Africa, African countries and that kind of thing, for instance. And on that note, I'd love for us to be diplomats as well. Also, I'd love for the ladies to love us and find us exotic and mysterious. But anyway, moving on, number 9, again, I'd love for us to support each other's projects, also to be law-abiding citizens and that kind of thing. And number 10, again, I would love, I know I mentioned this in point number 5, but I would love for us to be kind to animals, people, and especially children and disabled people, and like supportive, encouraging. I know sometimes or most of the time, pretty much always, I can be quite laid back. I don't always think to ask people if I can help stuff. I'm not very good with my hands, but I do try and think of ideas to help other people, even though I don't do so practically necessarily, but I do come up with ideas like, so for instance, providing Africans with indigenous Africans and Australians with software, with training in S.T.E.M. And I hope, on that note, as I say, my fellow Mutts, to support that kind of thing and support children, support the most vulnerable, 10% poorest people in all possible countries, tackle poverty as much as we can, and that kind of thing. And I think, as I say, by being pacifists, conscientious objectors, and that kind of thing, and calling a truce with the world, hopefully we can make the world a better place. And again, did I mention I would love for us to be law-abiding citizens as much as possible, always do our best to obey the law. So these are my dreams, as I say, about for Mutts, as I call it, as I say, or mongrels, or whatever else you want to call us, as a self-deprecating sort of humour, but I mean it in a jovial kind of way, a joking sort of way. I don't take it too serious. Probably depends on what content people say it. Like, I suppose sometimes black people can call each other the N-word, but if other groups do it, obviously it's rude and you probably get whacked. But yeah, I think that covers everything for now. And peace and love. I'm out.